Jamie Moran, I do want to get into, well, look, I'm all about evidence-based conversation. You guys know that. And the next topic I want to get into is this quote unquote mystery game that is now starting to make the rounds of what it could be. Now, Jez did a story, Jez Corden of Windows Central, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast with, of course, my very good friend, Randall Thor 19. He, in his amazing article, which I do actually have linked in the show notes already, he says this, ladies and gentlemen. There's also a mysterious fourth game, and I won't spoil what it is, but our sources indicate that it is a new entry in a legendary Japanese IP, which has decades of history and would make a lot of fans happy. So, I want to take your attention, ladies and gentlemen, to about 2 years ago. And if you, again, maybe you don't remember, I barely remember because I'm an old man, but I had made a quote or a thought that I put out into the public that I had heard that Tecmo Koei or Koei Tecmo was working on a new Ninja Gaiden. Now, that was just a thought and a theory, right? No big deal. Well, Ninja Gaiden is starting to float around with different people's lists. I've seen the list. I have it here somewhere. I will find it for you. Castlevania is a part of that list. Yeah, I got it here. Crusader 2 Elisa on Twitter. It's at Crusader3556. Says, okay, what are some of the big running Japanese franchises that Microsoft could unveil something for? And there are a bunch here. And they're all really good picks. Final Fantasy, that's an obvious one, right? Super obvious. I have something called Trails. I'm not sure if it's Trials or Trails. There's a Tales of series. Dragon Quest is another easy one. Persona 6 could be. Could you imagine if it's Persona 6? That would be huge. They have Resident Evil and Ninja Gaiden. I could throw Castlevania into it. But, folks, this is where my detective skills come into play and why I think it could be, folks, could be a new Ninja Gaiden. 9/30/2024, the end of September. Xbox executive Phil Spencer was at Koei Tecmo. He took a picture of their front office and he said, "Great visit today." Right? He was there. But interestingly enough, Jamie Moran and Umbra, that day, someone spotted him playing Ninja Gaiden on Xbox. He was playing Ninja Gaiden, ladies and gentlemen. Now, does that mean that it's Ninja Gaiden? No, but I'm kind of a where there's smoke, there's fire. Kind of a police officer or former police officer, I should say. Look, I don't know what it's going to be, but when Jez confirmed that it is in fact going to be from a publisher and the IP is going to be a legendary IP, that's the first thing that came to my mind. I thought of that. I thought of Metal Gear as well. Metal Gear Solid, we're all awaiting the announcement of the remake. And as much as we're all excited for Snake Eater, and Snake Eater looks phenomenal, and technically that is a starting point for the Metal Gear Solid series where I get that for us it's number 3, but in the canon of the game, it's technically number 1. Me personally, would fall out of my chair for a Metal Gear Solid revival or a remake of that sort, because that's one of my top 5 games of all time. Let's get into this. What do you personally think, Jamie Moran, it could actually be?
Persona 6.
That's great pick, dude. Great pick.
Well, one of the reasons why I think it's Persona 6 is because Xbox and Sega, they've had this really cool friendship for a few years now, and there's been a bunch of Persona games on Xbox showcases. Metaphor Fantasio was announced at the Xbox showcase last year. So like it kind of makes sense. And the output from Atlas Games, like they are somehow able to put out like 1 or 2 games a year. Like people forget they put out Persona 3 Reload last year, a few months before Metaphor. So it's like they clearly can do it. Persona 6 has been in development for a few years now, so like, it wouldn't surprise me that much. And if you look at the amount of question marks underneath that, it spells out Persona 6 and 6 being in letters.
It does.
It could be me just reading into it because I'm a weirdo. But like I think it's Persona 6. But I will say this: I do think there's going to be way more than 4 games there. Like I think there's going to be 4 highlights.
I think there's going to be 5.
Yeah.
If you just look again, what do I know about graphic design? Absolutely nothing. I know how to make a thumbnail, sure, but if you just look at the way things are kind of set, it does look like things could be moved a little bit to get a 5th one in there, right? Like I'm the only one. I can't be the only one seeing that.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Ninja Gaiden thing. I think there is that side scroller coming out later this year, which looks pretty cool.
Oh yes,
but like people want a 3D Ninja Gaiden. I think it's been long enough because you look at how action RPGs and action games have came over the past few years. Like people are really wanting more action games, like be it Stellar Blade, like we're getting a new Elden Ring game this year. People want to see what a Ninja Gaiden would look like in 2025. Excuse me. And
yeah.
By the way, I would love to see a brand new 3D Castlevania. Oh my god,
man, yeah.
Like just thinking about what they could do with the size of the castle and everything. Anyway, but I think it could be Ninja Gaiden. I think it could be anything because there's a bunch of Japanese games that we haven't had new games in a while where it could be anything. It could be the new Tales game, which there is a new Tales game in development outside of the remaster. And look, Resident Evil's been quiet for a little bit now. And allegedly there's a remake of Zero. I'm one of the 5 fans of that game.
Zero was excellent. The only thing I didn't like about it, there was no storage boxes. Some of the floor was always littered with everything. It was ridiculous.
And like I do think it could be a Resident Evil game, but the whole Final Fantasy thing, right? Obviously they're not going to announce a new Final Fantasy there, but I do think we are going to see 7 remake announced for Xbox or 16 there. I mean, everyone's basically talking about it, and Square Enix has talked about it enough, but it's going to be an exciting show. And I just think, them strengthening their partnerships with Japanese developers should be the big takeaway because for years, people like Microsoft needs to do more over there, and they're clearly doing that. We're getting more Japanese games more than ever, despite everyone going, people are abandoning Xbox and it's the end of Xbox. Well, why are there more Japanese games coming to Xbox than basically ever before? There's so many games coming to Xbox.
That's because they made it a conscious effort to work their way into Japan and actually visit. Again, that's why Phil Spencer was at Koei Tecmo. That particular week, if I'm not mistaken, that was the week of Tokyo Game Show 2024. They posted a lot of pictures with a lot of studios and publishers from Japan, and this is the work that they're doing, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, I think we could really see anything, and it's good to see Microsoft pushing the Japanese content on their shows because last year, that's when we got more gameplay, and like some Xbox stuff for Visions of Mana. So like it was a third-party Japanese game on their developer direct, so it's proven that they've done this before. I just think I think it's going to be a good time, But like you said, there's space there for another game. There's going to be more. I would bet my life on it. Not really, but I would bet that there's going to be way more than 4 games
there. I think you're onto something, and I think that there is room for it. Again, we just have to go based on the history, right? Just traditionally, there's been 2 others. Again, this is something that they're doing on a regular basis. So as Xbox fans, Umbra, we have a lot to get excited about. The end of the year usually levies a big game. This year for Xbox players, it was Indiana Jones. And the release before that was Stalker 2. Back-to-back really great releases. They were both received very well. They're both being awarded by different award shows still. DICE has awarded them, both those games and Hellblade, a bunch of nominations. So we ended the year not only on a great note as gamers, because there was a lot to play in 2024, but for specifically Xbox, there were a couple of really big ones in there. And now we have the developers direct, and all we have heard is excitement and mystery. So my question to you is, first of all, what's the fourth pick? Because I think the fourth pick is topic number 3, one of your favorite things to talk about, Unreal Engine 5, more specifically, Oblivion. I think Oblivion is going to be shown off over there. I think we're both going to fall out of our chair, but I don't know if that's the mystery 5th title that Jamie is referring to, and the 4th one is this rumored Japanese game, right, from a legendary studio with a legendary IP. I think it's got to be, when you talk about legendary, when you use the word legendary in your write-up like Jez Corden did, I think Ninja Gaiden, Castlevania, Konami's Konami did Castlevania, but of course Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy comes to mind. Who was it in here? Jesse James had a great pick. He says Shenmue. I mean, that's legendary. It's legendary.
I love Shenmue. I don't think it would be that though.
I don't think it would be, but it's a good pick nonetheless. Let's get your hot takes on what you personally think it could be.
I'm looking at the chat. Somebody said Concord 2.
That was Brothers Grimm. I just saw
it. And my man King James said The Misadventures of Tupac, Welcome to Death Row.
Oh,
I would actually love that one, actually. Picture me balling. Anyway, no, I agree with you. I tend to agree. If he's saying that, if he's like labeling it as legendary, it's obviously going to call back to something that we have in a community and have deemed as to be this great, great game. Although it being third party would make me believe, and he said Japanese, if I'm not incorrect.
It is from a Japanese. You know what? Let me just read it again for you specifically. This is the exact quote from the article, the write-up article from Jez Corden of Windows Central. There's also a mysterious 4th game. I won't spoil what it is, but our sources indicate that it is a new entry in a legendary Japanese IP, which has decades of history and should make a lot of fans happy. End quote.
Decades.
Decades, bro. Yes. So again, Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, Ninja Gaiden, they have decades of history.
You would also have something like Resident Evil.
Oh, yes.
That could be tossed in there. I heard that floated around with maybe it's Resident Evil 9. I would tend to think, though, that Resident Evil, they would show that off in the summer. Not for this, but you never know. Then I look at a past show, right? And you remember, if you guys remember, they showcased, shout out to our brother Miles Dampierre, much to his love, and he's been pushing and promoting this for so long, and I have to get this game eventually and play through it. It looks beautiful. Visions of Mana. Remember, they showed that last year at the last Direct. So they've already established that they'll show third-party game at their developer Direct. So I almost feel like it's not going to be something so big where it's like, oh, here's Resident Evil, right? I feel like that'll be a summer thing that they will showcase that for a bigger audience, possibly. I could see something rebounding like a Castlevania being there. I could see something rebounding like that is tied to the Xbox, such as Ninja Gaiden. I would love for it to be Ninja Gaiden, by the way. That would be dope.
People don't understand. Listen, there are a lot of gray beards here. Ninja Gaiden Black, by the way, is exactly where Souls games were freaking born.
But yeah,
I think that would break the internet if that was the game.
I would be hyped to see. I would be extremely hyped for that. I have said it out loud before that I would love for. Same thing with Splinter Cell. I look at Splinter Cell. I look at Ninja Gaiden. Those are, to me, home to Xbox, right? Like, people would look at Final Fantasy and say, that's home to Sony, right? Or Nintendo used to be. And so I get that sentiment. To me, those titles are what made Xbox part of the DNA of made it what Xbox what it was. So absolutely, I would love for that to be the case. I didn't even think about it until you all mentioned it here. I Now when he wrote and said decades of nostalgia basically with tied to this. I would tend to agree with you that in this legendary, it's probably a bigger, more well-beloved property than what I'm going to name. But I feel this game could be it. And I didn't really come into this thought until early this morning, maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock.
Now you're saying you think it's Ninja Gaiden.
I would love for it to be that, but that's not what I came to earlier.
Oh, okay.
Earlier, I came to the thought that it could be Persona 6.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I don't want to say it's an easy pick.
Yeah,
but everyone is anticipating. I mean, listen, that studio has been on a freaking roll. Persona 3 Reloaded did very well. Obviously, Fantasio is something you enjoyed. I'm playing through it. I can't believe I'm enjoying it as much as I'm actually enjoying it, because I normally don't play Persona leveled or type of games, and I freaking loved every second. I haven't beat it, but I put a lot of time into it. Mm-hmm. Can I just add? I know you're stuck on Persona 6, but I don't. I just want to just add this additional. I want to push you in the Ninja Gaiden direction. Here's why.
Push me. I'm all for it.
Okay, so September 30th, 2024, Phil Spencer tweeted a picture of the Koei Tecmo front office logo, and he says, "Great visit today." Interestingly enough, folks, and walk with me on this, because this is where the goosebumps are starting to come out, and I don't know if it's Ninja Gaiden or it's not, but I'm getting excited, and here's why. Here's the evidence-based conversation that I love having. Later that afternoon, and this has been confirmed, Phil Spencer on Xbox Series X was playing Ninja Gaiden. I'm just saying.
Hey, listen. I mean, we all made a thing about it where we would track Phil's shelf and see what he had up there, right?
Exactly.
So, they off on a shelf, so hey, you never know. I mean, now you see him try to be coy. He can't be coy, Phil, by the way. So he tried to do all that. Yeah. Immediately he fuels some type of theory, right, Jamie? So he can't afford to do that. Oh, what's my man's name? That's Illegal Dad. Brother, I would love for it to be a new Tenchu.
Yeah, I just saw that in the chat. Yep, that Tenchu would be dope. I wouldn't even take a remake or not a remaster, like a remake of the original Tenchu, which I imported.
Somebody else had mentioned earlier. What's up, Sin? Somebody earlier said, what if it's a remake of Shenmue in the new dragon engine that they use for like a dragon and stuff like that?
Dude,
yeah,
that would be.
Sign me up.
Yes, please.
Sign me up. Yeah, all these. I mean, I know people are like, oh, I don't want to revise those games. Those are the games I would revive. I'm sorry.
Can I throw one more in here to get you to get everyone excited? What if it's a new? Get ready, folks. That new in development Jet Set Radio.
That could be it too, and I'll be excited for it, but not as excited if it were Ninja Gaiden. I'll tell you that.
I agree. Now. I agree. I'm just saying. Just throw it out there.
Yeah. And somebody mentioned Panzer Dragoon. Yeah, that's another one. That's another one that was kind of tied to Xbox at a time back in the when they had that in the OG Xbox and stuff like that. So and 360. So I can see that. I don't know. I don't know what it could be, but they say decades, like you said. When you think of that, you probably tend to think of the games you named. And like I said, Resident Evil could fall into that, but at the same time, I don't think they would show that here versus in the summer.
Like kind of big. Yeah. Not saying that the showcase or the developers direct isn't big. It has become a thing that people look forward to. A lot of eyes are on it, but a Resident Evil reveal kind of seems like a Jeff Keighley summer event.
It does, or even Microsoft summer event, right? It seems like something they would say for something bigger. Man, I'll land with Persona 6, but I don't. Now that I'm reading what you read, whatever, I feel like that's not going to be right. I feel it's going to be something else, especially the way he worded it with decades of whatever.
Yeah.
And you see other people like really, really excited too. And I'm like, I don't think they're this excited for Persona. It's got to be something else. I just I don't know what it could be. Persona makes sense because, like you said,
makes
it's
sense.
easy.
But I'd be disappointed. I'm
It's
not
easy
going to
because
front.
people have been talking about this coming out for a while, right? So and then we have Microsoft making deals with Atlas and Sega, and them coming to being more friendly. It makes you think maybe it's Sega related.
Oh man!
So I know somebody wrote Echo the Dolphin, which turned out to be the new little logo that Sega had. I
love this chat.
Yeah,
this chat is hitting. You know what?
All over
I'd be a real crummy host if I didn't shout out some of these people. First of all, Rick L says Altered Beast. Yes, please. That has decades, right? We got a couple here. There were a couple, Creative Monster and someone else. Who it was? Was it here? Mentioned Shinobi. Legendary. We know there's a new Shinobi that they're working on. That is definitely a freaking possibility. Let's see. I got it. Okay, so there's a couple of Altered Beasts. Thanaros actually said something hilarious. He says, "I love you, Boom, but you must be running for mayor of Speculation Town." I am co-mayors with Hong Sol and Mav from Fun Speculation. We're all co-mayors. Sir Riffs a lot says Echo the Dolphin. I don't think it's that. Fillmore Pockets says Samurai Showdown. I mean, that's another that's a good one. That is a good one. Now that you say that, what about if it's a new Soul Calibur?
Soul Calibur.
Dude, I think we could spend 3 hours trying to guess what it is. I will say, as nerds of gaming, which I think everyone here, we have over 600 people watching live across Twitch, X, and of course YouTube. I'll put it this way: it's an exciting time to be an Xbox fan. That show is happening next Thursday. Now we are going to be covering it live. When I say we, I don't know who's going to be a part of my panel. I'm probably going to try and get at least 2 or 3 people. Normally, I do something with C Money on Thursdays. I don't know if he's going to be doing his own thing with the misses. We'll find out. I am going to be covering that live. Whatever the event is, at 1 o'clock, we'll be going live. We'll be watching the stream with you. I'm trying to build up my panel now. I'm going to try and get, again, up to at least 4 people. And I haven't started reaching out to everybody because we still got a week and a half away. So I'll let you guys and gals know. But any final or additional thoughts, Umbra or Jamie, that you guys want to kind of just throw into the hat here, because there's been some really good picks.
Jamie, you have any other thoughts? I'll throw one out there in a second. Although, to Sin, you mentioned Dead Rising. I don't think it'll be Dead Rising just because they had the remake. Of what was it? The remaster, I guess you would call it, of part 1. Well, it's kind of a remake too, right? I don't know. Remaster. Let's say remaster part 1. Yeah. I don't think for that reason. I don't believe it'll be Dead Rising.
Some people said Lost Odyssey is a great pick. The Blue Dragon. I mean, those are great picks, and I would listen. I'd be honest with you. I think the fact that we don't have a Lost Odyssey remake is terrible. That game, a lot of people didn't play it. It's incredible, absolutely incredible JRPG. That would be dope. But when you talk about legendary, I think it's one of these IPs that has not only been around for decades, but has been around on multiple platforms, on multiple systems across potentially 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Like, again, you go back to Ninja Gaiden, going all the way back to the 80s on the NES, which, by the way, that game was hard as freaking hell. And there's a new side-scrolling one coming out. Castlevania, again, started on the NES way back in the days. Metal Gear Solid, another OG NES game where it started from a top-down perspective, and it finally moved on to Metal Gear Solid, the 3D on PlayStation. There are a lot of picks here, folks. I'm just getting. I cannot wait to learn what this is.
I can't either. I would say I don't think it's Metal Gear either. It's just because we know about Sigma already.
Yep.
So I mean, we know that's coming. We've seen more than enough of it. in beautiful Unreal Engine, of course. You know, I had to say it, right?
Of course you have.
So we know about that already. I don't think it would be that. I would center around, because even I know Colt has posted his stuff about Final Fantasy 16 and stuff like that. So he's kind of let the cat out of the bed. It could just be that. Like, what if it's just at the end of the day, it's just Final Fantasy or something? It would be crazy though, right? I'd be like, oh, that's it. Boo.
Boo. Virtual tomatoes.
You know,
I meant to say Delta. Thank you, Abdel. I keep getting those confused. It's Delta, my bad.
I have a theory that, you know, Final Fantasy has been brought up so many times, and like we all basically know something Final Fantasy is happening next week. Like we basically know at this point. But what if the legendary IP is in fact Final Fantasy, but it's the remake of 9 that's been in development?
Oh, that would be nice.
Wow,
that rumor has been a while for a minute for part 9. Yeah.
That's a good pick, Jamie. Really good.
Apparently, it's going to be on the level of Crisis Core Reunion, which that game is bloody amazing. Which is like, you know, a very good, like, you can call it a remaster and a remake at the same time. But like, it's so well done, and if it is that, I'll be happy with that. I think a lot of people will be happy with it. A lot of people have been wanting like an older style Final Fantasy game, and that will like deliver to that. And either way, we're getting something Japanese on Xbox, which is exciting to me. So,
yeah, that would be that would be a great pick too. I actually bought Final Fantasy 9 due to a friend of mine who said it's his favorite in the series. So I said, let me get that then. It was on sale. Got it on Xbox. I haven't played through it yet because I have way too much to play. And I keep going back to older masterpieces that I can't escape their orbit. But yeah, that would be something to see there. That would absolutely fit within the parameters of what Jez wrote. Yeah, I'll be for that. Yeah, why not? But it would also tie into it being Square Enix bound, right? Because last year again, Square Enix, that was you know, the Visions of Mana. So, you know, I can see that. That makes some sense. Yeah. It'd be crazy though if it's just like, oh, Final Fantasy finally coming.
I don't think that. Listen, I don't want to sound like a spoiled gamer, but I'm going to sound like a spoiled gamer. I don't want it to be anything Final Fantasy related. I'm sorry. I want
the Final Fantasy one, right? Yeah, I agree.
No. It's. I can't wait to buy and play Final Fantasy VII Remake on an Xbox. I cannot wait to do that. That game is brilliant. I got almost 3/4 through the way on the PlayStation 4. I'd never finished it. I will finish it because that's one of my favorite in their series. I beat it in Japanese when it released and beat it again when it released in America. It's one of my favorite in the series.
Nice.
But I don't want it to be that. I want it to be something old and new at the same time. Again, folks, this has been fun. Chat, you have been absolutely astoundingly amazing, giving your picks. Love it. Love it, love it. Curry Cosmos says, after throwing the virtual tomatoes, can it be Kingdom Hearts, though?
It's possible.
I mean, yeah, it absolutely could be. BT Maverick. This is what I'm waiting for, and I got news for you. If this happens, if the game that he says happens, falling out of my chair is not going to be enough. I may run around the house. He says Dino Crisis. And Dino Crisis needs a remake in the worst way possible. Is it legendary?
No.
Oh my God. It's just legendary. Not.
Also, I don't think Capcom cares enough about it for it to be that.
Yeah. You know what? I would have. Okay. So my thoughts and theories with Dino Crisis is that it's never going to happen. But after the reboot of what looks to be Onimusha, I think Dino Crisis will eventually get made at one point, even if it's just a remake of the original. The original is brilliant, but I'm hoping that it is something either Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden. We know it's not Metal Gear Solid. It could be Final Fantasy. I hope not. But again, great topic.